It is the white Bagre. It is Bagre Day. We begin to teach the children and the women and the men. We go in again to the long room. You see the food, you see the meat. It is beer we drink and make a din. The many matters to be performed in the room, we recited them and completed them all. And now we turn again to take the food. We have eaten. Neophytes, you have eaten. Senior members, you have eaten. Ancestors, you have eaten. Guardians, you have eaten. Deities, you have eaten. Together, you have eaten. The next day, they say, the day has come and we know your kindness. What is kindness? Kindness means a good heart. Kindness has things to give to others. Kindness loves everybody's child. Kindness respects the weak. You respect them, and today they will come with their fowls. You will go out and wash yourselves and anoint your bodies. And now, I will teach you something. You all see, the neophyte should watch. He raised his hand and said, do you see anything? What is it? One fool said, it's a hand. He said, no, you say that, but instead something else is there. He asked the wisest neophyte to call out its name. He replied, Benima knows that, I don't know. He said, that is just Bagre lies. For see, today you are now members. You people will go out and one day you'll see the moon standing there. If someone says, do you see the moon? Don't turn and look, but say you saw it days ago. You say this so they think you saw it, but you didn't. And so it is. If you and a non-member see the new moon, then say you saw it days ago. And so they always say, it is Bagre lies. Bagagiinkiri is performed tomorrow. We have come to the next day, and they told the guides to bring a broom and a small basket and take them to the room. When they send out the neophytes, you'll sweep off the dirt into the little baskets and then sweep yourselves and depart. Hurry them so they run, and when they go outside, they sing a song. The razor smells something, quick, quick, quick. They go and sit down, and when they sit, their friends bring cocks, which are for Bagre, and lovers bring guinea fowls, which are for Bagre. Young girls bring dawa dawa, and the men bring cocks. They beat them on the ground. The guides, the strong guides, go and take some of them to their place and collect them together to be used for Bagre. When they finished, they told the neophytes, today you are raw Bagre members, and these Bagre matters must never come from your mouth. If it does so, it's Bagre you hurt, for Bagre is from your ancestors. For Bagre is a fine thing, for Bagre is a thing that kills, for Bagre is a thing that gives life, for Bagre is a thing of the bowstring, for Bagre is a thing of the hoe handle, for Bagre is a thing of chicken rearing, for Bagre brings peace. If you also get to know the Bagre, it brings you riches. In the old days, the people didn't know it very well. If someone did, he was like a chief, a rich man, and every kind of chief. So he spoke to the members. The black Bagre you can't leave aside. You always recite for 3 days and 3 nights, and the white Bagre they recite for 3 days and 3 nights and finish. You don't stop there in Bagre. It's like an antelope's leg running one way, then another. That's what I say the Bagre is like. Now you'll go home, and the bell which you have, it's like an egg. In 2 days' time, if we're strong enough, we'll take it to cleanse. If you wear the bell and you're a woman or a man and you commit adultery, you wrong the Bagre. If a man spoils a woman, you'll find a separate place for them. Now we come to the sister's son. Don't you see the Bagre food? The sister's son is taken by force, some beer, porridge, and meat. He seizes it and eats. When they eat like this, you know that one day these may be your own people. If you've got a mother and she kicks you out, you go to your father. If your father kicks you out, you go to your mother. That's why the sister's son is not a person to be played with. Your clan brother and sister's son are the same to you. I'll tell you this so you understand. About the sister's son, in the old days a brother and a brother looked after their father. These brothers went out with their father into their farm to hoe. The sister's son wandered around to the farm, where he saw the 2 brothers. They and their father were hoeing. As they were hoeing, the father told them to stop. The sons became angry, measured the farm, and divided it into strips with their father. He said, "Well, I am weak and can farm no more. I farmed and fed you till you became men. How is it possible that you and I can hold the same?" But they divided the farm and finished their strips. The sister's son saw his uncle in the heat of the sun, farming alone. He was an old man, but look at the children sitting down after hoeing. So the boy, the sister's son, takes a hoe and goes over to his uncle's strips. He farmed them, and when he had done so, the uncle got up and told his sister's son and his children that he preferred his sister's son to his children. One day, when he is no more, the sister's son will take his property. If the sons try to seize it, they'll die. That's the reason the sister's son always takes property and we say nothing. That's why we tell the neophytes, the new neophytes, so that you know about the sister's son. But about Bagre, we tell you that you complete the Bagre at Bagre bells when they'll wash them, and then you're finished. If there is a small boy among you who has some sense and goes to someone's Bagre and sits, it is not for food you go. You will go and sit and look and listen how it is they perform. Bagre is all one. Nevertheless, the way it's performed is different. If you hear people reciting Bagre, you adopt their way, and one day when you recite the Bagre, you will include this. When you recite, you include that in your Bagre. You do so, then greet their elders and their distant ancestors. You will greet them, greet their guardians, greet their earth shines, then recite Bagre. If you leave the Bagre room, you will go outside and pray to the earth shrine, and then return. You will find you're able to speak. A neophyte then asked, "Who brought Bagre?" They said, "The first people did." He asked again, "Who was that?" They said, "It was the younger brother." And he asked again, "What do they call God?" They said, "A God is here, and God is there." The neophyte asked, "The one we follow in this matter, is it God we follow, or is it a God?" He spoke, and the elder said, "Well, we follow God. He is the senior, but we can't see him. It is a God who comes down to people. That's what we call God." "Do our elders say that God's child is the one we follow?" He then said, "Yes, we follow him and so reach God." So he spoke, and the neophyte asked again, "All these things, how can you know them all and be able to teach them?" They said they had performed the white Bagre up till today. Moreover, the black Bagre is similar to this. People take you both by night and by day, for 3 days. If you are clever, you'll put it on your head, and you know it all. Then he asked, "Black Bagre and white Bagre, which comes first?" The neophyte asked, and they told him, "Black Bagre is the senior." And they said, "It is senior because that one we knew before we knew the white Bagre." The wise neophyte then said, "But why is it you didn't first perform the black Bagre for us?" The old man said, "Well," he laughed out loud and went on, "if we want to perform Bagre, first of all, we recite the black Bagre in order to see, and then continue." The neophyte asked again, "Why is it you recite it without our knowledge?" The elder replied, "If you are not a member, how can they show you?" He said, "But you know that you will initiate us into Bagre." He said, "Yes, I know I will initiate you into Bagre. But it is like the milk of a pregnant cow. They cannot show you before you are initiated. We are betwixt and between, that's the reason. I don't show you the black Bagre. If you give it thought and want to know about Bagre, you will try to ask about Bagre matters. If you don't ask, you can't know Bagre." He said, "Well, look here. You said when they teach people the Bagre, we always take a stallion and 100,000. Why is it they always do this?" So he asked, and they replied, "There is a reason, you see. Someone went into the wild for 3 years and then returned. When he came back, he said they could see that hairs on his head hadn't been cut for 3 years. However, he brings a matter that is troublesome, but teaches many things. So it is in our Bagre matters, and some beings come from the hilltop, and some come from the water, from the river. It is to the river people they pay the stallion. It is to the hill people they pay the 100,000. If you know Bagre and teach people of another patrician, you'll take the stallion and 100,000. If you don't do so, you'll go blind. If you don't do so, your voice will change. Now you understand the reason. That's why we say that if a child learns, he will be able to protect himself. However, if you don't know, you too can ask and they'll teach you. The Bagre. If it is lost, they will find it, but only through sweat. That's why we say that the children should learn the Bagre, so that one day we will help one another. You now know white Bagre today. There remains black Bagre. The man who breeds chickens and farms well, he is the one who will become a black initiate. However, if you always attend, you will get to know the white Bagre. If you are an eater, you will get to know the guide's duties. Neophytes, you understand? The elder then said he wanted to go home. What is left to be taught you should teach the children. He went home to his father's house, taking his meat. The meat of the medicine belonged to him. The black initiates don't eat it until they have the medicine. He brought the fowls and threw them down in front of his house and cared for them until they laid eggs. Well now, this is what you'll do with these fowls. You'll give them to your father's shrine, and to the wilds, and to the guardians. But the meat, eat it, leaving the bones which you must bury. Don't allow a fowl to swallow them, or it will become a Bagre fowl. Bagre things you can't mix with things of the whole. If you do this, they'll spoil, and only senior members can eat them. Non-members can't do so. They went home and walked around freely, and a week later they will prepare for Bagre bells. Because of this, no one can sleep with a woman. So they spoke, and 2 days later they told the Bagre mothers to bring the neophytes. They took the neophytes up to the rooftop and sat them down. And they said, "Well, neophytes, it is today you finish Bagre, and yet you don't." So they spoke, saying, "Well, you see the Bagre they've performed so far. Many things have been consumed. Up to now, the malted grain and the fowls. One man's fowls amount to 100. The malted grain, you know how many baskets? Well, they amount to 25. They sent you through, and you came out today. If one of you learns it, and gets to know it, it will benefit him. If they catch you, make you sit on the chair, and you have no medicine with you, and they pay you 3,000 and a black fowl, you'll take it. Take out the medicine money, and then you and your fellow members, you'll know what to do. They don't spend it hurriedly. Spending Bagre things hurriedly will kill the neophytes. It changes the neophytes' voices. This is what they teach you today. They will again ask your children today. They tell the neophytes that if he slept with a woman, he should speak out. They'll still wash his bell, for there is a special rite to be performed. If you don't speak out but conceal it through shame, then one day you will really be ashamed. Guides asked the neophytes. They asked about their sins, and they confessed. Again they asked the neophytes to confess. They said, "Well, you've confessed today. Now they'll wash the bells." So they spoke and went on. "Well, take the bells from off your necks and put them down." They took a vat of beer and collected the bells, set them down and washed them. The elder picked up a bell and put it in the middle, saying, "Well, if everyone now has a question, let him ask it today." One neophyte stood up and said, "Right, he wanted to ask how it was they know so much and yet death still kills." He replied, "Well, knowledge came from the ancestors, and death too comes from the ancestors. The problem you pose is an old one. It is death that came first, and Bagre followed. How then can it drive away death?" And he said, "Now, if you want the truth, Bagre is a grave matter. You grasp it with both hands, following it in the right way. Watch it with your eyes, and don't let it go." The elders then took the beer and washed the bells, put them down, and sat on the ground. Just now, they want to ask a question. "We take you out today in the Bagre. What have we taught you?" If a neophyte can get up and recite the Bagre as they have done, they'll give him a cow. The neophytes said the elders wanted to laugh at them, and they asked, what could they know? They said that they first took them and collected some guinea corn and malted it. They were told to go out and tell the senior members to come and take the flour. The members laughed, saying, well, they knew nothing. How is it you don't know about the time when the Bagre god picked on you and we started you on the way, and yet you know about taking the flower? Nevertheless, the Bagre we're spoken about will teach you in the Black Bagre. If you happen to find someone who knows Bagre and he teaches you, it is he who owns your food. He owns your drink. When he teaches you everything, then he'll teach you the Black Bagre. If he is able to make a bell, then you know he can twist the bangle. But now today, you'll go down, hunt around, and go into the bush. If you see a partridge and kill it, it's for Bagre. If you kill a rabbit, it's for Bagre. If you kill an antelope, it's for Bagre. However, if you kill a boar, it's for the house. If you kill a grass cutter, it's for the house. If you kill a porcupine, it's for the house. Are there any more questions? The neophyte replied, yes, and then asked, you said earlier that you'd beg a head that sits on our shoulders. That's what I don't understand and want to find out about. They replied, look, that's not a proper question. And then another asked, well now, the person who sinned against Bagre and didn't confess and then came out of Bagre, is there anything that can happen to him? They replied, yes, there is something, for you'll go blind. If you don't go blind, you'll become a leper. If you don't speak up, you'll wither away. If you don't speak up, you'll become lame. So they spoke, and one neophyte said, look, there was a woman who said she'd slept with a man. He said this, and they heard and said nothing. They asked the neophyte, who has anything to say? They replied that they wanted to ask this. When you're a member and go to a performance and your elder is not present, but only you are sitting there and they bring food and give it to you, can you eat it? They replied, yes, you can eat it. He asked again, but if you go to the Bagre and your own elder is not present and they ask you to recite, what will you do? They replied, well, you yourself will recite, and in the middle, you'll greet the members, greet the ancestors, greet the earth shrine. If you're at Piele and see a clansman of the Bagre, he's your brother. If you're Kusiele and see a clansman of the Bagre, he's your brother. If you're a Bekwone and you see a clansman of the Bagre, he's your brother. If you're a Yongyole and you see a clansman of the Bagre, he's your brother. You won't be afraid in the Bagre. You will recite the Bagre until it is completed and then go home. Then someone asked, if you've been initiated and get home and die, did Bagre kill you? They replied, yes. They want to tell you that if you live 3 years and then die, Bagre is the cause. So they spoke, and when they had finished, they said, well, do you understand? Then one asked, if you've been initiated into Bagre, get home and fight with your wife, will they make you pay Bagre again? And they said they can't do that. And they said again, do you understand? Then one asked, if you've been initiated and get home and your child should die, is Bagre the cause? They replied, no, that's not the case. Then another asked, if you've been initiated and get home and your wife leaves you to marry someone else, can he take her from you? And they replied, yes, he can take her. And he asked again, if he's been initiated today and sees someone's wife who wants him, can he take her? And they replied, yes, he can. Then one got up and asked again, if he gets home to find that he has put something down, gone through Bagre, and then can't see it, has the Bagre god taken it? They replied, if you go home and can't find something and it's been lost, if you swear to the Bagre god, he'll kill your house people. If your kinsman took it, he'll kill him. If it's someone on the outside, he'll kill him. However, if you are silent, the Bagre god will follow the man. Then another asked, if a man and I dislike each other and I go home and he has something that he gives me, should I eat it? They replied, yes, eat it. Then another asked again, if he goes home and sees the lover he used to have but someone else has now taken, should I fight with that man? They replied, no, you shouldn't fight with him. And they said again that they want to tell you about the question. They said if anyone has a question, it should not be on any topic whatever. They want questions to be about the Bagre. Then another asked that as between the widening ceremony and the beating of the green, which comes first? They said, now, what sort of a question is that? And continued, the widening ceremony always comes first. Then one said that as between the announcement of the Bagre and the Bagre beans, which comes first? They replied, don't you understand when they say announce? Announcing, that is what they do to begin with, and always comes first. Then another asked, Elders, excuse me, and continued. Well, now when a man's an initiate and his wife stops menstruating, they pour water on her. Why is it they do this? They replied, well, it's an old path they follow. They don't want someone to talk and this comes to the girl's hearing. That is why some water is poured over her. Then another asked, when you go to someone's Bagre and see an elder at the Bagre house, and the old man is reciting Bagre and getting tired, what will you do? They replied, well, when you see the elder getting tired, you can't take over the recital. You'll wait, and when he realizes he's tired, he will call someone's name and that man will take over. Then another asked, well now, if you are young and an initiate and there is an elder who's an old man and joined after you, and you both go to Bagre and the food is brought in, who will eat first and give the other? They replied, well, if you're younger but were a member first, he will follow you. Then another asked, the beings of the wild and God, which of them brought Bagre? They replied, well, God created them and put them on earth, and they sat there empty-handed. However, the younger one and his elder brother were living together when the younger one went and disappeared, and they thought he was fooling. He came back and taught us all this. God created us but gave us nothing, and when we were hungry, we had to find food to eat. However, the younger brother, he it was who brought this matter and taught it to us. That is why we always say it's the ancestors' affair. So he spoke, and when he had finished, the neophyte said, now, does God know about Bagre? They asked, and he replied, yes, it was God who created us. Everything we say he hears. Everything we do he sees, because he created us and knows all about us. And God told us that he would have come for all to see, but the reason was that if he came here, he could not do his work. For if any man's kinsman were about to die, he would ask, why does God kill my kinsman? If someone's kinsman died, he would come and ask me to revive him. If someone was ill, they would come and ask me to cure the sickness. If someone is struck by another, he will come and say, kill the man who struck me. That is why God doesn't want us to see him. He is near and yet far. That is why he said, well, he would send a person to come who is more powerful than us all. Our forefathers said that about this person's matter, which we searched out in vain. The first men told it to our forefathers and they understood it. And we children, we have now seen it. If you remember the forefathers' things, you will always hear them. You always know them. But if you're not, even if you're clever, you cannot get to know everything. They told the neophytes and they understood. You have heard the Bagre to the end. What is left? God's matter remains. The black Bagre will come. In that, they will explain these matters to you. Do you understand? That is Bagre knowledge, and Bagre seeing, and Bagre hearing, and Bagre eating. He will eat. This is why we recite some and leave the rest. We say to the chicken rearers and to the farmers, initiates, let's close the meeting.